Mayor of Kingstown Season 4 Episode 2 Recap and Ending Explained. Who Kill Carney? After his job shift, Carney goes home to take care of his sick father. However, the young Columbian man that Ian and Stevie had previously captured and set free shows up at his door just as he is about to go to meet Mike and Cindy in the bar. The teenager shoots Carney multiple times, killing him instantaneously, and then he walks away quite nonchalantly. Unaware of the tragedy that has just transpired, Mike talks to Cindy at the bar about reporting back to him and giving him all the information he needs to keep his brother safe. The episode's surprising conclusion implies that Mike and his inner circle are the Columbians' target because it appears like a careless overreaction on the part of the gang to kill Carney for being a little harsh with Cruz during lunch. It might also imply that Torres has some risky associates. If this is true, the prison, rather than the inmates, seems to pose the greatest threat to Kingstown. All of these secrets will soon come to light, and the mayor of Kingstown is expected to continue to heat up throughout the season. Kyle witnesses the horrors of prison life up close. The second episode of Mayor of Kingstown Season 4 begins with a horrific violent scenario that occurs in SEC at Anchor Bay, where Kyle is being kept at the moment. Guards arrive to try to calm down one of the other inmates who started acting strangely and creating a commotion. However, he savagely stabs himself in the neck after repeatedly hitting his head against the bars of his cell until he bleeds, indicating that another incident occurs during the first few days of Warden Nina Hobbs' takeover. Both Cindy Stevens, who recently became a qualified guard and started working at the prison, and Kyle witness their first horrible death while in lockup. The mayor confronts the warden about Kyle. The fact that his brother was beaten to a pulp upon arrival was not part of Mike's plans, who is focused on attempting to keep him safe while incarcerated. Consequently, Mike becomes enraged and confronts Warden Hobbs, threatening to make her pay if anything were to happen to his brother. Through the crypts, Mike also plans a hit on the inmate who assaulted Kyle. Not only does this deter other inmates from approaching Kyle, but it also lets Hobbs know just how far Mike can stretch inside the institution. Frank Moses gets a private audience with the mayor. Frank Moses shows up at the mayor's office and waits for a meeting with the man in charge because he is unwilling to wait for Mike to approach him. Mike and his secretary Rebecca are both cautious of Frank's straightforward approach because of his well-established reputation. Frank comes out as highly clever and polite during the encounter, however this is compromised by the reality that he is an openly dangerous individual. Mike tactfully implies that he is not very helpful to someone like Frank, who needs his help in his attempts to help Bunny rule Kingstown. But this encounter is undoubtedly the start of a far more intimate connection. It will depend on how much harm Frank does to determine whether these two end up as bitter foes or allies. Evelyn puts pressure on Ian to betray Robert. The law enforcement side of things is suffering because of the internal strife occurring in Kingstown, while the criminals are organizing and planning how they may seize territory. Due to Robert Sawyer's continuous use of excessive force, Assistant DA Evelyn is determined to put him behind bars. People like Ian and Kyle are being caught in the crossfire, though, since if Robert fails, he will probably bring down the entire crooked system with him. Evelyn does this by discovering information that suggests Ian was probably responsible for the death of Ben Morrissey, a SWAT team member who was scheduled to testify against Sawyer. Frank Moses makes a deal with Bunny. We learn more about the character Lenny James is portraying after the opening titles have rolled. When Frank Moses meets with Bunny, it's evident that he talks and moves authoritatively as he divulges information about his methods, constantly putting himself at a distance from any actual criminal conduct. In addition, he acknowledges that he killed the Russians on the rail track as a present for Bunny and as a sign of good faith for their possible collaboration. Because of his obvious efficiency and brutality, Moses asks to meet with the mayor in order to learn more about how Bunny's business operates. Mayor of Kingstown Season 4 Episode 3 Trailer, People Who Died. The mayor of Kingstown explores the murky core of the American jail system, where survival, corruption, and power are closely related. The McCluskey family serves as the awkward link between law enforcement, criminals, politicians, and the prisons that support them in the industrial town of Kingstown, Michigan, where incarceration is the sole thriving industry. Mayor of Kingstown Season 4 Episode 3 will release on Sunday, November 9 at 3 a.m. IT, and 12 a.m. PT. Mike McCluskey is fighting on several fronts in Season 4, attempting to keep his family safe while preventing shaky friendships from disintegrating. A Detroit power broker makes an offer that has the potential to completely alter the situation as tensions increase. In the meantime, Bunny begins to envision a life outside the boundaries that have defined him. Ian comes under increasing scrutiny, and Kyle struggles with his new reality. In a community where justice is never clear-cut, Mayor of Kingstown continues to tackle themes of power, loyalty, and atonement by fusing crime drama with social commentary. You might be wondering when the next episode will air if you've been watching this one for the past few weeks. Well, no more wondering.